Okay, so to make the faux leather I want to use for this project, we need to make a water and glycerin mixture to soften the paper. And so for that I'm going to use about a half cup water, which is more than I need, and you want a 1:4 ratio of 1 part glycerin to 4 parts water, so that would make this about 1/8 of a cup, which I think is about 2 tablespoons. So that's what we're going with. 2 tablespoons of glycerin. 1, 2. There we go. Give that a good mix. How's that for a nice, that means Angel got their wings with a little, not exactly a bell, but sounds like it. Alright, so that's all mixed together. Now you could use a spray bottle for this because, but I don't have one handy. All my spray bottles are filled with things like alum or other things. So I'm just going to use a sponge. This is an old crappy sponge I don't care about. And I'm just going to sponge it on. It might even be a little faster this way. And we want it good and wet. A little bit more here. I've got some, just a plastic garbage bag taped to my work surface because I don't have a repellent like a glass craft mat. Oh, Santa Claus! Somebody should tell Santa Claus I want a glass craft mat. But I've never had one, and I only want one sometimes because I don't know, sometimes I want one. So I will tell Santa Claus. Alright, so I'm going to actually flip it over as well and get the other side also juiced up. What's good for one side is good for the other. So that was very wet. I do not need to add more liquid to my sponge. I did not wring it out enough. Let me wring it out now. Okay, just spread what's already on here onto my paper. So now what I've done is, this is just a paper bag. Did I mention that? This is just a paper bag. And I've cut it, I've opened it up, and then I cut it to where it's a size I can work with. That will be fine for my project. So now we have it all set. I'm going to let it dry just a little. So I moved it over to a drying rack, and I'm going to let it dry some, and while it's drying I'm going to grab some paint and Mod Podge and get ready to do the next step. Alright, so I had forgotten to turn the camera on, but what I'm basically doing is pouring a little Mod Podge into a cat food tin, and I'm going to mix it with some dark brown or rich brown paint. And I've seen this done with ink. Oop, that's a nice sound. With ink and with different infusions like color powders and stuff, but I'm going to try it with just a little paint. I'm going to stir it with this piece of cardboard and see what color we get. And I do want it to feel leathery brown in the end. And I don't want it very shiny, so I'm hoping some of this chalky, this actually is a chalk paint, will kind of tone down the shine. I'm going to add a little bit more color to this rich brown. Come on. Oh, that sounds terrible. Okay. Alright, so I'm looking at this and realizing it's a very cool color. Like it's rich, but it's a very cold brown. And I really want my book to be warmer, so I'm going to run and grab some other colors to kind of warm this up. Alright, so let's see if we add a little burgundy red to this, if that helps us at all with this. Oh, that's a mess. Let me get rid of this paint one. And grab another little stir stick. I didn't bring any stir sticks with me. So now I'm adding just a little red to it. Again, just to sort of warm it up. And it might have gone too far to purple now. Let's see. It's definitely red. Well, I mean, it's red-brown. I'm seeing that. I don't know if you can see what color this actually is. These lights are kind of weird. And I feel like I want it to be a little bit more organic. Although, actually, that looks pretty good. This might work. What do you say? Should we give it a go? No, because if I don't like it, I'll hate it. So let me try another. I want to add some orange to this. Alright, let's give it a little orange, just to warm it up further. Bring it back into the tan family. Realizing it was a pretty rich brown, but it was really purpley after I added the red. So now that's alright. Now it's like, ooh, scrumptious. Absolutely scrumptious. Okay, so this is good. I'm going to set this aside for when we need it, which is momentarily. So now, I'm bringing our paper back, and it's mainly dried. I mean, it's damp still. And we're going to begin with the crumpling. And the crumpling can go on for years if you want it to. Let's see. Yeah. So I'm looking at these lines that are in mine, and I've not had that happen before, that the lines have stayed, but this is a pretty old bag, so it's possible that those lines are going to be in the book, and I'm okay with that because I really want this to feel, again, like it's had some life we don't know about. Maybe something was stacked upon it. Who knows, right? Who knows? Alright, this is good. Now we start again. And scrunch, scrunch, scrunch. And with the glycerin, what the glycerin does is it makes the paper more pliable. If you had tried to do this with untreated paper, ultimately you're going to wind up with tears in a lot of places versus a few tears here and there, like there's a little tear there. But that's to be expected. And again, the more you can crumple, the better. And squeeze it and keep rolling it over on itself. So you can sort of use this as a wellness moment, and it's very therapeutic to scrunch things up, especially when you're able to smooth them all out again. So this is what we're doing. I'm looking, so we're getting closer to the texture I want, but it's still a little bit big, like I want more veinage. So we do it again. So you just keep doing this until you get the veins, the wrinkles, that please you. Okay, we're getting down to it here, I think. And there are lots of other methods for making faux leather. Please do a little search and find the one that makes you happiest. Alright, so I'm pretty much liking this now. So I still feel like in the middle here, it could use a little scrunchier parts. Even still, we're going to go one more time. This is it, I swear, the last time. Though I think we still get to do one more good scrunch of it later. Okay. Alright, so now we've got a nice, so we want to open it up. We don't want to flatten it too much. I mean, we do want to flatten it. But, I mean, we don't want to really be pressing hard on it if you want an authentic leathery feel. Alright, so now this does have to fully dry. Just while we let it do that, I'm going to put it on a table and give it, or you could hit it with a blow dryer or drying tool as well, but I'm just going to give it some time. The AC is on in the studio, so it's pretty dry in here, so it shouldn't take long. That's because it's really humid and like 6,000 degrees outside. Okay, let's let this dry. Alright, so it feels dry enough to play with. I mean, it's kind of a little damp, and the texture is so completely different than paper bag now, thanks to the glycerin, that it's hard to tell, is that dry or is that glycerin? But I'm going to now grab my little tin of paint here, get rid of my stirrer, and now we want to dab, not paint, all along here, and I've got a couple of different brushes to do that with. Let me grab the other one. got a big one, big flat one, and a dabber one. So now, I hope I mixed enough paint. I think I did. Let's just dab. And again, you do not want to rub. You want to just dab, dab, dab. And then come back in with the other and dab it more. So remember, this is a mixture of acrylic paint and Mod Podge. We're going to go kind of to the end, but we don't need to go off the end since we're going to wrap that around our book. And after we do all of this, we're going to get to scrunch it up again anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this up. Okay, so now I'm going to just dab a little more to fill in some dry spots, and then I'm going to wisely go get some gloves because I want to wrinkle this up again. And doing that barehanded would be an absolute mess, and even though my studio sink can take it, you know, dirty hands and all, it would just be much simpler on the world if I threw on some gloves. So let's hold on one second. I think that's good. I'll be right back. Alright, so as it happens, I have a lot of these small rubber gloves because my husband was actually during the pandemic, the very start of it, had a medical procedure, and they said to him, you know, we're just going to throw out these gloves in your room. Do you want them? And he asked me over a Zoom call. I'm like, yes, take them all. So we got 3 boxes, 2 large, no, medium, small, and large. Okay, so I'm now, with my very happy medical gloves, going to scrunch this back up again. And that's really going to help get it even further. But you see why I'm now happy that I wore these gloves. So that's going to make it even further into the paper. And now, carefully, because now we've added some paint to the recipe, we want to carefully open it up. And I do this, a lot of people do not do this. I do this because I really want that. I want that, I don't know if you can see that, but the modeledness of having some of the paint lift off against itself. So I might not have the same wrinkles that I had before, but I do have a more modeled finish, and that's what I want. So I don't want to pull on it too much because I don't want to pull out all the wrinkles, but that piece of orange there, I don't want that. So now I'm just going to kind of tap it all while I get the finish I want. And if I see any places where it looks just super dry, like there, because remember too, this the Mod Podge acts as a sealer, so we don't want any bare spots necessarily, but we also don't want opaque spots because we want it to feel like it's had a history. All right, so we let this dry now, and I think it's safe for me to take off my gloves. Although I see a few blank spots there. Just going to fill those in. That's going to get rolled over on the cover. A couple little spots there. Again, a spot here or two is no big deal. I mean, it's going to get glued to board, so it's not a big deal. All right, so now going to move this over. I feel like here I might have been a little excessive with the paint. I want to pull that out. Here's that orange again. Come out here. I think there was some orange shrapnel in this paint. You know how it dries around the opening? think I had some of that. Okay, so now, the other thing for me personally, I don't like the fake look of fake leather, which is when it's all real, like, how do I say it? Very contrasty. So I like that I'm pulling it apart, you know, I'm spreading it out. I feel like that's going to give me more of the look I'm going for. Now remember too is that once we let this dry, and it will, we have to glue it to board. So that's going to add another chemical to it, another dampness to it that we want to consider. So either way, we're letting this dry, taking off the gloves, and I'll be back. All right, it feels pretty dry and I love it. It's going to be perfect for this project. Now I know that it looks way shinier than it actually is, and I don't know if you can actually see the variation because of this really brash light I've got going on here, but it's beautiful and perfect. So now I believe it's dry enough. I might give it a few more minutes. I am going to spray probably both sides with this clear sealer and give it even more protection, because again, this is just paint and Mod Podge. The Mod Podge is a good sealer, but the paint is paint. So I don't want it getting wet and being weird. I want it to be able to hold up to being handled. So I'm going to do that, and then we're going to get back to building the cover, the spine, and the box.